Hello and welcome to my channel, Talisman Tarot. In this reading I want to ask the cards and spirit directly through channeling about what is your biggest weakness and how can you turn that weakness into a strength. And I have 5 groups here that you can choose from. This will be group number 1, this will be group number 2, this will be group number 3, this will be group number 4, and this will be group number 5. And so I will ask you to use your intuition and choose the group that speaks to you the most, the group that catches your eye. And if you need any more time to choose, you can just pause the video. You can also wait until after this introduction. There will be an image of the groups up close and personal, so that might be a little bit easier for you if you want to, choose a little bit more with everything, in sight, if that makes sense. So yeah. And if you want a personal reading from me, it's been a while since I've done these introductions, so I'm fumbling a little bit with it. But if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below and find the timestamp for your particular group and click on that and your reading should appear in front of you. And while you're down there in the description box below, make sure to check out my guide on how to book a personal reading from me. I love doing personal readings for you guys, so it's always a pleasure, so please check that out. But let's focus on this reading right here. Choose your group and I'll see you in your reading. Hello, group number 1. You chose this Jolanda Tarot deck, and I'm going to start with some channeling and then I'm going to shuffle the cards for you. So I'm going to do the channeling now, and I'm going to start with what is your biggest weakness before I move on to the other stuff, turning it around and all of that. So I'm going to start with the biggest weakness. So Spirit, what is group number 1's biggest weakness? Okay, so your biggest weakness is that you don't trust people, that you don't give people the benefit of the doubt, and you can sometimes be a little bit judgmental and critical towards people. And when you judge somebody, when you have a feeling about someone that they are up to no good, or if you get a really bad vibe from a person, you don't really allow them to redeem themselves after that. Maybe you just have a tendency to just shut them out of your life if you feel that they don't really want the best for you or don't really seem to even want to respect you in any way. And that's fine, but it can cause some distance between you and the people around you. And maybe it can also create some tension, For instance, if you are in a friend group and one friend introduces a new friend to the friend group, and you don't like that person and you feel like that person has a very mean-spirited energy, something about them that just doesn't really feel right, or maybe you can tell that they're hiding something, and you probably feel tempted to tell the other friends how you feel about them, which is a very natural response, really. It's very natural to feel that way, to want to warn people, but it can, of course, put you in the spotlight, or it can put you as a target. They see you being all critical, all judgmental, and they judge you for being judgmental, you know? So it ends up maybe, you know, boomeranging back to you if you say something, even if you're right. They don't know you're right. So until they know you're right, which is going to happen inevitably, but until then, you're the villain. People look at you and think of you as someone who is just hating on a person for no reason. But they don't see the reason, and you might even know. You might not even know the reason really why. But it's just a feeling. It's just an intuitive feeling that you have, and you know you don't have any proof. So it's really hard to convince people that someone is up to no good if you don't have any evidence. And so I feel like that can and might have already led to some tension in your social life with people around you, where you feel like sometimes you're misunderstood, or that you end up suddenly being out in the cold after just, you know, from your perspective, you're just, you know, fulfilling your duty, possibly. Because I feel like some of you are actually psychics, so you have psychic abilities. So maybe you feel like it's your duty to tell people what messages you're getting. And so if you know something about a person, you feel like that's not something that you can just sit on, that it would be, you know, it would be weird to receive information if you don't, like, if you're not meant to be delivering that message or that information. Like, why would you get it? But like, why would you receive it? So I understand that there is, like, it's just, yeah, I guess it's very hard to be the messenger, because everybody wants to shoot the messenger. So that is a weakness that you have, even though you're just fulfilling your duty. But yeah. But I feel like sometimes it can also end up becoming a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I say that because sometimes if we have a feeling about someone, and if we kind of act on that and, you know, give that person the stank eye, or, you know, roll our eyes when they lie when they're lying directly to your face, like, if you can tell and you kind of send that back to them, that energy of, you know, I know what you're doing, I know you're lying, like, then that can make them uncomfortable. And I'm not saying boo-hoo them, that it's so, yeah, you know, sad for them that they're uncomfortable. But I'm saying that, you know, them being uncomfortable might not make them more honest. It might make them, you know, more dishonest and lie even more, because they feel your judgmental energy, or what they perceive as judgmental energy, and they can tell that they have to be watchful, so they filter themselves, they say only the things that sound good, and they try to keep the truth away and keep it hidden, because they know that you're going to judge them for it. So sometimes it might actually be helpful to kind of play along for a while, because that's going to make them fall into more, I'm not going to say like that, but they're going to show more, and maybe you could even get some evidence to give to your friends about this person if you play along a little bit better. Don't call them out right away. If that makes, like, that sounds manipulative, and it's not, like, I don't know. But I'm just sensing that it's maybe not a good idea to call people out on their bullshit right away when you can tell they're lying to you. That maybe it's better to sit on that information a little bit. Not just because it's gonna be better for the person who is... Of course, also, everybody has a reason to hide stuff. Just because somebody's hiding something doesn't necessarily mean they need to be called out for it. Because, like, it really depends on what they're hiding. That's also what I'm getting here, is that some things might be okay to leave in the hidden, you know? Because you also hide things, you know? Let's not be hypocritical here. Because, like, we all do. We all hide stuff. We're not always telling the truth. There might be some things about you where I'm also sensing... I'm going to get to the cards soon. I know I'm just rambling, but what I'm sensing here is that I think you're maybe even mostly judgmental towards yourself, because I feel like some of you are a little bit in solitude. So I feel like the judgment is actually mostly targeting yourself in many situations. But so I feel like this judgment that you have for yourself could cause you to filter some of your personality out so that people don't see the true you. And so calling people out for lying might not be a good idea if you're kind of hiding maybe 80% of your personality away because you're afraid of judgment. But of course, if someone is cheating or something like that, then, you know, they deserve to be called out. But maybe wait until you have some evidence, just because you don't want to look like the villain, you know? Someone who's sabotaging the relationship just because you're jealous. Or that's maybe what they would think of you, that, oh, you're just being jealous, you're just purposely trying to cause drama, you're just being a drama queen or whatever, I don't know. That if they're not ready to hear the truth, or if they're not ready to accept the truth, that would be where you would be at. You would be out in the cold, and that it's just... yeah. But if you're comfortable being out in the cold, then just, you know, say whatever comes to mind, and whatever your intuition is telling you, to just, you know, whatever. Like, because it's good to plant that seed, even if it's going to take 6 years for that seed to grow into a plant, you know. Yeah, people won't believe you at first. They will believe you sometime later, maybe 6 years later, 10 years later, maybe 3 months later. So it doesn't have to be like these worst case scenarios, but it might take a long time. But maybe it would, you know, maybe planting that seed is still very important for the timing, for the divine timing, or for just making sure it happens a little bit sooner than it would have, because, you know, they can find evidence that they wouldn't think of, like they wouldn't think of it as evidence unless you plant that seed of doubt in their mind. Then they will see how it all, you know, how it's all connected, and then then they will make sense of it. So it's important to kind of tip people off, but it's also like, if you don't want to be out in the cold, if you don't want to be villainized and stuff like that, you don't have to plant that seed. You don't have to tell people what you sense. It really depends on, you know, the situation, how great the friendship is. Like if it's your friend, if it's your best friend who is in a relationship with someone who's not being honest to them, you know, of course, then it's even more important, or it feels more important to tell that person what you're sensing about their spouse. But that could actually be the most sensitive situation, not just for you, but also for your best friend, because you can't, because, you know, if your friend is not ready to hear the truth, your friend is going to push you out of their life, and then suddenly they have lost their best friend, and then they have that loss to deal with, not being able to go to someone for advice, not being able to talk about their relationship that is highly toxic, and it's going to be that way even if you and maybe it's more important that you're there to help her or him when they experience stuff in their relationship. And so maybe be watchful of how much you tell this person, because it's like they need you more when they're in a toxic relationship than that, you know. And if it's difficult. It's all about, you know, figuring out what the timing of everything, and, you know, nobody said it was going to be easy, you know. So with the Four of Pentacles, I'm sensing that your biggest weakness is that, that you are kind of, let's get back to the beginning of the reading, that you're very protected with the Four of Pentacles. You are very protective of yourself, and you don't trust people. You don't let people into your life if you can sense that there's something, you know, something shady about a person. You tend to just take a step back and withdraw, and, you know, just shut that down as quick as possible, because you don't want to go through that. And maybe you also know, like if you're, for instance, dating somebody, you might know very quickly that this is going to end in disappointment, and that there's really no reason to waste time on it if it's just going to be disappointing. And so you might, you know, call the date off really quickly and be like, okay, I'm not going to see you again. And that can be a good thing too, but it's, you know, this, you know, the thing is that all romantic encounters are gonna end up in some kind of disappointment. We just have to kind of figure out how much disappointment are we gonna take, how much is too much. But you can't get in a relationship that's not going to be disappointing in some way. Like, it's always going to have some negative sides, and nobody's 100% honest, nobody's 100% loyal, everybody's a little bit, you know, you can find someone who's very loyal and honest, but then they lack other stuff. Like, then they might be looking for something that is very much not like what you're looking for. And like, it's just, if you don't want to be single right now, like if you're looking for romance right now, and like if you feel like that's something that's missing from your life, you have to give someone a chance, even if you can tell right away that it's maybe not going to work out, or maybe that it's going to work out for maybe 7 years, but then after that it's not going to work out, and maybe you have like that intuitive feeling about it, and maybe you've even like had some message about it, like some that this is only going to last for 7 years or something, like, but at least then you will have something or some romantic relationship for 7 years, and not everything's gonna last, and that's okay, because not a lot of things in life last, you know. This sounds so cynical, but it's like, I don't know, like, I'm gonna shuffle more cards. Okay. I'm going to shuffle a little bit more about your biggest weakness. Queen of Pentacles reversed. Okay, Five of Wands reversed. I feel like you shy away a lot from conflict, or, you know, I think you're actually quite quick to realize if there is a situation that you don't want to be a part of, and then you just walk away. And I'm just sensing that many of you don't actually stay and, you know, figure it out and give people like the chance to maybe explain why they did what they did, you know, and maybe it's because you don't want to give them the opportunity to just come up with some stupid excuse when you know they did what they did, and you know why they did it, and you know how they did it, and like, you know, all this stuff. And so whatever they have to say about it, it's always gonna be just, you know, stories. It's gonna be fabrications, and maybe you just don't want to, you know, listen to their imaginative behavior, like whatever they have going on, this fantasy they are going to present to you. Like, how are you going to treat this person differently just because they have a vivid imagination like that? That's not going to, you know, be a cop out for them. But then again, people like to be listened to. People can't handle when they don't get to come up with these excuses. I've had this happen a few times in the past. I got a stalker from this once because I was, you know, I had a situation with someone, and yeah, I just knew that this was not gonna, you know, like, no matter what this person had to say, I was not gonna listen to it, because I knew what it was. I knew that they were trying to excuse themselves, and that they were just trying to, you know, make sure that they knew what my next move was, and that was the only reason why they wanted to talk to me, was to hear mostly hear my side of the story, so that they could change my side of the story, so that they were in the clear and maybe could, you know, get out of what they had done by maybe, you know, switching it out with another truths, like another, not truth, but maybe another, you know, story, like another story to like kind of when someone, yeah, like a fake story, like a copy, like when people steal like artwork and switch it with like a fake artwork, you know, to, yeah, that, I don't know, like I don't know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter really, because it has absolutely no relevance, not necessarily. But what I'm saying is, I understand you. I understand that you don't want to give people an opportunity to make up an excuse and try to gaslight you or try to convince you that how you perceived what happened is not actually what happened. And why would you? But I guess some people can get very obsessed with wanting to be heard, like wanting people to hear them out, and so I don't know why this is coming out as a weakness, because personally I guess, like, maybe I just have this weakness too. Why would I listen to people who have wronged me or wronged somebody else who's close to me? But of course, that is a way to, you know, to solve the issue and kind of get to some kind of truce. I get that, but and maybe there can't be a peace offering unless both parties have been heard and have had an opportunity to explain their side of the story. And I get that, but I feel like it's just all kind of for show. Like, it's like, why do it when you've already made a decision? Like, why give that person a stage just so that they can put on a show? Like, I don't know what, but yeah. But that comes out as a weakness, and yeah, I'm gonna find out how to turn this into like a strength. Let's figure that out. So I'm gonna ask Spirit first. So Spirit, how can group number 1 turn their biggest weakness into a strength? Well, you can work as like a psychic. You can do readings for people. And the good thing about that is that you can actually help people who want the answer, like who are actually searching for the answer. So they come to you, they ask you the question, and you are, you know, you are meant to answer the question that has been asked. So it's never going to feel like it's unsolicited, you know, so it's never going to, like, you're not going to make a lot of enemies by answering questions that people asked. So if people don't want the answer, then they shouldn't have asked in the first place. So like, that's just what I'm saying, is that and maybe keep the spiritual messages, the psychic messages, to strangers, customers, clients, people who come to you for guidance, and maybe keep that side away from your personal life, like the people around you, your family, your friends. Maybe try to, you know, separate the two so that it doesn't leak into your personal life and cause, you know, some tension. Okay, I'm gonna ask how can you turn this into a strength? Okay, strength. Yeah, okay, so you can turn it into strength by, okay, so 7 of Cups is here. So, yeah, yes, you can use it in the spiritual realm. You can use it to, you know, like you can use this power that you have, you can strengthen your psychic abilities and okay. Oh, okay, so 4 of Pentacles is reversed. So you can use it also somehow to relieve yourself from the protection. Like the protective shield can somehow, like you can use the protective shield to turn down the protective shield. That doesn't really make sense, but I guess the more you maybe get comfortable in your spirituality and the more you, like, I feel like that is also a big thing here, is that I think you're very judgmental towards yourself. I think you are really hard on yourself and you keep so many things hidden from other people, especially the things about your spirituality, the things that you believe in, and maybe also your psychic abilities. Maybe you don't tell enough people about this, and it might end up making you feel like maybe even causing your spiritual side, your psychic side, to feel slightly oppressed inside your body, like that it's being pushed down and that it doesn't really get to, you know, get to be taken out to play, like that it's like they're locked in. And maybe you need to leave it, let it come out, let it be a part of you. And the more it becomes a part of you, maybe the more you can really lean into your spiritual side, your psychic side, get more comfortable in it and make it a part of your persona and your identity, to the point where you can really, you know, yeah, really get, I don't know, I'm just getting that it's gonna strengthen your psychic abilities to not keep it hidden, to not have that ironic distance to it, where you truly believe that people who are psychic or people who are, you know, clairvoyant or energy healers, or like you might find them to be a little bit ridiculous, or I feel like some of you do, or some of you have some judgment towards people in this industry, and that you don't want to be associated with the people in the industry or in the field, like that these people, that the more you have that ironic distance, the more you feel like I'm not a part of whatever they're doing. I don't want to, you know, get categorized in with them. The more you actually end up rejecting some of your own psychic abilities and your own spiritual growth. So I don't know if that makes sense necessarily to all of you, but it's just I'm just sensing that, you know, you can make this weakness a strength if you start, you know, putting the guard down. And of course, I don't know if that's going to help. Like, I feel like it's going to help with you being a little bit judgmental, especially when you're judgmental towards people in the field. You know, becoming less judgmental towards them would make you less judgmental of, yeah. So that would turn the weakness into less of a weakness, I guess. I don't know. I don't like it. I'm going to shuffle more. I'm actually going to shuffle some of these archetype cards just to get a little bit more information about how to turn it into a strength. Okay, it's the Thief card reversed. I'm not going to, you know, I have a bad back, so I'm not going to, you know, get it. I'm not, yeah. So it is on the floor. It's the Thief reversed. So okay, with the Exorcist, it says freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. And the Goddess reversed, it says exploitation of the female nature and form. Okay. And the Thief reversed. So, how to turn it into a strength? You have to... Okay, so a thief, it's the opposite of a thief. And a thief is someone who steals something, you know? Someone who steals a win, someone who's doing something kind of cheating, you know? And maybe when, for instance, you might like sometimes just tell people, you know, I know what's going on. I know what you did, you know. I know that you are cheating. I know that you're seeing someone who is much younger than you, and it's kind of disgusting. And I know that you're doing this behind someone's back, and I know, like, stuff like that. You can go out and say that, but then you would kind of be cheating, and people would, you would be cheating because you are telling people information that you know from sources that they don't have, which is kind of like cheating on a test, you know, getting like the cheat sheet and using that as the whole ground for why you have this knowledge, you know. So you can't, you can't expect to do that, or you can't do that and expect people to not feel that you're just making it up, because how else would they see it? Because in their mind, they don't really have access to this source. And even and especially when you're not being actually open and honest about who you are, then they absolutely won't listen to you. If you're not saying saying, hello, I'm a clairvoyant, I'm psychic, I have psychic abilities, and the reason why I'm telling you this is because my tarot cards told me, that sort of thing. You have to kind of lean into that before you can convince people of your spiritual messages, the messages that you're getting, so if that makes sense. So yeah, but if you do that, if you make it into your identity, your persona, then people won't get angry with you when you have a feeling, a gut feeling or an intuitive feeling about something. So yeah. But I feel like with The Exorcist, I'm sensing that the best way to do things is to go directly to the source. Sorry, not the source. Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. I don't. Of course, talk to spirit, get your information that way. But also the person that, if you have information about a person, maybe don't go behind that person's back. Don't tell the person that they're involved with, or the person that they're hurting, or the person that they are lying to. Don't tell them that they're lying to them. Tell they go first to, even though I said in the beginning that was maybe not a good idea, but maybe sometimes some people need to know that they are not fooling everyone, and instead of giving them the stank eye, because that's just going to make them lie more, maybe tell them that tell them, make them know by telling them something that you can't possibly know about them. Then they will believe, okay, you have information, I can't bullshit you, I can't fool you, you're not easily manipulated, so I can just stop stop putting on this show. I don't know, but with The Exorcist, you definitely could, your strength is that you have an ability to maybe exorcise people. You can get the dark out in the light, the secrets out in the light. You can shed light on it. So with the Goddess reversed, I have absolutely no idea. But well, it is. If you're a woman, then of course being intuitive is a female, is in the female nature. But I don't know how that is. It says exploitation of the female nature and form, and I don't know how that can, how that correlates necessarily. But of course, you can. You can use, the oldest trick in the book, act like you don't know anything. Act dumb towards the people who are trying to. But that, again, with The Exorcist, I'm just sensing that, this would be, the first thing maybe be to act dumb and make them, like, get them to talk. Like, I don't know if this even makes sense to a lot of you, because I feel like some of you are maybe not really even in these very dramatic relationships where there are, or friendships where you need to, you know, interrogate people or need to, you know, do stuff like this. But I am sensing that you could use, you could play dumb and get people to talk and try to find the evidence by maybe I don't know, but maybe also flirting with people, making yourself into, you know, a decoy, not the decoy, but, you know, like someone who's being used as like a distraction or something, like a trap. But, you know, like, that sounds very manipulative. I don't even know what this has to do with anything, because I was just talking about how it can be turned into a strength, but this is coming out reversed, and I don't know. Actually, I'm just going to leave that card because I don't really feel it in this reading. And I'm also, like, running out of time a little bit, and it's not been a very, you know, enlightening reading. I'm very sorry. I'm going to use these Gypsy Oracle cards really quick, just to see. Okay. Doesn't necessarily make much sense, but, you know, you can use, well, you can use this against your enemies, but don't use it against your friends. Don't try to be smart about it. Don't lose any friends because of your psychic abilities. That's just too much at stake, you know, but you can make enemies with it. You know, why not? Faithfulness, you know, lover. Okay, so lover is here, but love is reversed. So I don't know. Of course, you can use it to sabotage people's love lives, because you can tell them that they have that there's a lover. Like, you're very, I feel like you're very good at that. I feel like you're very good at telling if someone is cheating, and that's maybe your superpower. Like, it's a superpower to be able to know that. Because that's very useful, but it can also be, you know, again, it's a minefield. So basically, whatever I said in the beginning, that as the biggest weakness is actually just coming out as the biggest, like, as a strength now, like that it can be turned into a strength, because it was always a strength to begin with, you know. So it can't be turned into what it already was. So, you know, you can see right through people. That's really brilliant. You can see if someone is lying, you can see if someone is cheating, and that is, you know, you were put on this earth to maybe tell people about it, but don't do it at any cost, because, again, you have to remember that, you know, you also have to live in it, and this is your life, and, you know, nobody wants to be the villain all the time. And, you know, even though you get the pleasure of saying "I told you so" when people realize that you were right all along, but it's just not really that pleasurable when it, like, after a long time out in the cold, it just doesn't really feel like it was all worth it. but still you can maybe rest knowing that you're doing some good out there. Like, especially if you choose to become a psychic and maybe help people figure out stuff about their love life that can potentially help them realize the things that they are maybe not seeing, the red flags that they're not seeing, and also maybe also some of the green lights that they don't see, because it's not all about negative stuff here, but you know, yeah. I'm gonna end the reading here. So I hope it did something. I hope it was enlightening somehow. I don't know. Like, maybe it did something. Maybe it planted a seed, but maybe you're just gonna see me as an idiot right now. And maybe it will stay that way forever, or maybe you're going to figure out at some point, oh, maybe you're going to remember this reading one day and think like, oh, that was true, you know. But until then, you know, like it anyways, just, you know, for the future's sake, so that, you know, because maybe you're not going to be able to find this video in the future when you think back at it and remember that it was actually pretty true, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna end the reading. So yeah, thank you for watching. Have a great day and bye. Hello, group number 2. You chose the Alcohol Tarot, and I'm gonna start with some channeling, and then I'm gonna shuffle the cards for you. So I'm going to do the channeling now. So, Spirit, can you answer this? I'm going to start with, what is your biggest weakness? And then I'm going to turn it around and talk about how to make it a strength or whatever later in the reading. But I'm going to start with the weakness. So, Spirit, what is group number 2's biggest weakness? Okay, I'm sensing that you don't know what love is. I'm not going to show you because I don't know either, but you know, I'm getting something about you not having experienced, you know, true love, especially romantically, you know, maybe from your family, possibly, but not in a relationship, like not romantically, not in a, not sexually, you know. And I feel like there might be an explanation to why you haven't met someone or haven't, you know, experienced this true love where you felt like you were with your person, where you felt like you were, you know, in a soulmate connection, that you had found the one and stuff like that. I think the reason why you might not have experienced that before is because I think you rely way too much on the intuition of others instead of relying on your own intuition when it comes to love. Maybe not in other aspects of your life, but when it comes to love, you rely on other people's intuition. You don't listen to your own. You make people, like the people that you date or that you have dated in the past, it seems like it was people who chose you, you know, and you were just relying blindly on that choice. That, oh, they must know what's up. Like there must be a reason why they are attracted to me. It must be because it's meant to be, you know. But you're relying so much on them knowing what they're doing, like knowing who to choose, or like using their intuition to choose you. Like, they're not using their intuition to choose you, because I feel like many of you are interested in men, and men don't use their intuition when it comes to, you know, when they choose. Usually not, like maybe sometimes, but you know, mostly they would have an intuitive feeling about everyone, like that. Oh, it's meant to be. Oh, you're my soulmate. You know, like they would feel that way about everyone. So is this like just a general, universal problem? Really, like I don't know if this is just your weakness or just a very, very, you know, very, very, very widespread problem that everybody has. I don't know. But I'm just getting the feeling that you could turn this around, though, by using your intuition to choose somebody and select, you know, make a conscious decision based on a proper intuitive selection where you've narrowed it down and made sure that, you know, you're doing the right thing. It feels right. It feels like it makes sense. If that makes sense. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense, but I'm just like, the message that I'm getting is that you need to stop waiting for people to give you the green light before you approach them or before you think of them as a romantic interest. Because men don't do that. If you're a woman and you're interested in men, or even if you're a man interested in men, or even if it's completely different, I don't know. Men don't wait around for some, like, men don't want permission, or like they are not, you know, they're not analyzing your face, seeing if you're interested or not. Like, they're not really thinking about that. They can see like a person from the other side of the room who's giving them the stank eye, and, you know, seems to roll their eyes at everything they do, and they would go up to that person thinking that, oh, this must be a sign that maybe she's into me. Like, maybe that's why she seems so annoyed with me. It must be because of like a suppressed lust in me and my dick, you know? And so men can also just, like, if a woman is screaming at them, yelling that they have to leave, or like yelling that, you know, that they're a creep or something, they would still think, you know, is this is this code for you wanting to sleep with me or something like that? So why if you're into men, why leave the choice to be up to the man? It seems like they don't know what they're doing. So don't believe blindly in their choice and think that it must be meant to be because they seem to be attracted to you, or say they are interested in you and they want to talk to you and they want your number, or they want to talk to you, to text you on social media, and they seem to constantly want to, you know, be close to you, and they have like their body language is telling you that they are into you, and like all of that. Like, stop analyzing men who you are actually not interested in. Like, it's like, why are you looking for green lights from people that you are that you wouldn't be why these are not. I feel like the people that you've been crushing on in the past, you would have never crushed on them, or you would have never have been interested in them sexually or romantically if they had not shown interest in you. And even if it's a subconscious thing, I think it's something that you do. Like you're looking for safe bets. People that you know will not reject you because you're afraid of rejection more than you're afraid of ending your life, like being miserable for the rest of your life with someone who is absolutely not your soulmate. So, I don't know. And I feel like some of you are like not really sure what your type is. Like you're trying to navigate the dating game, and you're like, well, I don't even know what I'm looking for. So how can I make the first move when I don't even know what I'm looking for? And what, like, the reason why you don't know what you're looking for is because you've never been looking in the right, like you've never done it, like you've never done the search. You've just been searching for someone who was looking at you and who was interested in you. You've never been like, and you've never had the choice. You've never made a choice because you've chosen people who chose you. Like that is, like you can't know like whether you're into Pepsi or Coke if only you've been, you know, taking whatever was offered to you. And if you have only been offered Coke for your whole life, you don't know what Pepsi tastes like, you know. I don't know if that makes, like, that wasn't a very good analogy, but it doesn't make sense. But don't take what is offered to you just because it's offered to you, and don't see that as you making a conscious choice, you know. So you need to figure out what your type is. And you need to do that in, like, of course your type is all over the place right now because you've only fallen in love with people who have fallen in love with you, and it's super random. And it's very different people, you know, with black hair, some people like men, women, people with different personalities, different ways of, you know, coming across, and you know, it's all different. And it's not because you have to determine like a type, because types are stupid anyways, because it has to be like an intuitive feeling. But it might be good to know what you're looking for, like not necessarily in, but it might be good to know what you're attracted to, because at this moment I don't think you know what you're attracted to. You're just attracted to people who are attracted to you. So, I don't know if I'm being too harsh, I don't know, but it's just figure out what you're attracted to, and then and then, you know, see how the world will, you know, will be much more, like it will be much more approachable. Because you can turn it around and be like, okay, I can actually choose. I can be the one doing what everybody else is doing to me. I can do that too, to them. Like I can be that person. I don't have to always be the reactor. I can be an actor. Like I can act. I don't have to react to the world. I can act in the world, make it what I want, or make sure my own life becomes whatever I want it to be. And so I'm also getting that many of you are a mutable sign in sun, moon and rising, maybe sun mostly. I don't know, but and I feel like you're very, very adaptable, and you just adapt to the situation, and you're very good at it. But you need to be less, like, because I feel like you're adaptable because you're passive. And you would rather just have things decided for you than to actually decide on it on your own. And, you know, to make a decision to, for instance, change your situation, instead of just taking whatever situation is offered to you, and just accepting that, like to make a conscious choice to change it, that's very active, and that is something that I don't think you do. And I think that might be your biggest weakness, because you end up working on other people's clock. You end up taking orders, and you end up being not being the one who's actually in the lead of the situation, of your life, and also of whatever you bring out in the world. Like whatever, like you need to maybe find out who you are. And maybe sometimes it might be nice to know what you like. And it sounds like some people don't really like people who are too fixated on what they like or what they don't like. Maybe because it kind of gives like a little bit of that association to early Facebook, where everybody was liking pages that they liked Pepsi more than Coke, and that they liked Pringles more than Bugles or whatever, and it was like a big thing about like, oh, look at me, I'm so, like, this is who I am because I have, you know, some kind of preference. And maybe you never understood the preference thing. Maybe some of you haven't, I don't know, like maybe you feel like, well, everything is great. You know, why choose one thing over the other? Because at the end of the day, you're going to take whatever's offered to you anyways. And this is also something like if you go to a party or something and people ask you, like, what do you like to eat? Like maybe before the party, they don't ask you and expect you to say whatever you want to eat or whatever is being offered, and I'm gonna eat everything and I don't care what is being served at the party. I don't have an opinion. They didn't ask you to get that answer. They asked you because they wanted to know what you like, because that makes it easier for them to accommodate your needs, and they want to because they want to, you know, fulfill your wishes. They want you to have a preference. And so I think even though I think it's the adaptability thing. I think you're very adaptable. I think you just take whatever is offered to you, and you don't want to be maybe picky. Maybe you feel like being picky is, you know, a little bit of a cuss word, like something that you only call people who are brats or, you know, annoying people or something. Like, or maybe that is what you grew up with. That picky eaters, for instance, were, you know, something that, you know, something terrible that, you know, that you never wanted to be a part, like you never wanted to get in that category, maybe because your mother made it out as if they were really, really bad, like that it was a bad thing and bad manners, and that they were just raised poorly if they were picky eaters or something. And that maybe you were maybe even praised for being different, for, you know, being able to eat everything and not really making a fuss because of textures or tastes or spices or whatever, like that you were just very easy. And maybe you were praised for being the easy child when you grew up. I don't know, of course, I'm going on a limb here. I know I'm just assuming too much, but if you were praised for being easy when you were younger, maybe you need to unlearn that part of yourself, because being easy is not an identity necessarily. It's just being, you know, whatever anybody wants you to be. And that's not a personality, that's not an identity. That makes it very hard for people to maybe get to know the real you, because you just adapt to whatever they expect from you, and you just change your whole demeanor or the way that you speak. You're very good at just, you know, flushing into their energy and just being a part of their energy, and just, you know, say whatever they want to hear. And I think, I guess this is your biggest weakness, because I think it makes you very anonymous to some people who might shake you a little bit and be like, can you just show me who you are? Like, who are you? Like, you're such a mystery. And maybe also in relationships, you know, that you might get in relationships where the other person doesn't really know who you are, and feels, even though there's a connection, feels distanced from you, because you're maybe not good at guiding them, telling them what you want from them, what you need from them, and being more clear in your communication, in communicating what you expect from them. And that it can cause some miscommunication, and that the expectations are not being met, and that maybe being your partner could might not be the easiest thing. And I know that sounds bad, but it's because, you know, it's difficult to know what to do when you're with someone who doesn't tell you, and who doesn't want to make a fuss about anything. So they just adapt to the situation, but then, like, they just keep adapting and adapting and adapting, and you can tell they just get more and more angry with you. But, you know, like, and that's how they would feel, that you would be more, like, you would just distance yourself more and more, withdraw, and become like spiteful over the things that they do, because they keep doing it. Like, they keep doing it over and over again, but they don't know that it's wrong, because you don't want to make a fuss about it, and you want to be easygoing, and you don't want to, you know, have a fight about it. And it might end up with, like, the lack of conflict might end up with them actually feeling less and less adequate, because they know there's something wrong, but they just don't know what it is, and they don't know what they do that is making you, you know, upset. So maybe being more clear about, you know, and stop being so easygoing. That's not getting you anywhere. Don't be so adaptable, because you don't have to adapt. You know, being in a connection, a relationship, even a friendship, you need to be able to tell them what you need from them. And you shouldn't just adapt all the time and just be the one who is always there, or the one who's, you know, where because the lack of boundaries that are being, like, if you don't set boundaries, of course it is only like of course it's only a bad person who would take advantage of that, but some people might feel tempted to take advantage and, you know, cross that boundary if they don't know that the boundary exists. So they will just take and take and take, and not really know maybe when they are crossing that line to the point where they are being an abusive friend, really. So I don't know. I feel like you have also had friendships for, like, where you kept that friendship going for years, even though you didn't even like the person from the get-go, that it was just some situation that you didn't know how to end, or didn't know how to get out of it, so you just kept texting them back every time they texted you, but it was all very formal and you never really had anything to talk about because you didn't really have any common interests or anything like that. But of course, if they didn't know what your interests were, then maybe it was hard to find common interest with you. But I don't know if that was even, like, I don't think that's a problem. I think you were maybe just too polite. I think you're a very polite person and you don't end things and you don't want conflict, and it's causing you to maybe live a life where you're not really in control over every aspect of your life. And that I feel like it's a little bit scary how much you can actually adapt to, you know? Because I feel like you could end up in a relationship with someone that you barely like, just because they like you, and, you know, go the whole way, like live 40 years together with this person or more, in like kind of a miserable relationship, just because you don't because you have a hard time making a conscious decision to leave, or to end it, or to reject the person, or to have that conflict, that fight that's going to cause the separation, that you are going to push that forward, all like, and just stay passive in it, you know. And that's a big weakness. Sorry, but you know, you need to stand your ground. You need to find a way to be more true to yourself and more honest to the people around you, where you need to just get that, you know, fuck it, life is too short to talk to someone that you have been talking to for 10 years and you've never had anything in common with them. You've never even liked them. They've never done anything for you. You've only done things for them. And why are you even still talking to this person? And this person might have, done a lot of things that were very wrong, and might have, said, like, told secrets about you behind your back, and, might have made you feel like shit sometimes, like maybe times where you really needed someone to talk to. You thought, okay, I've been friends with this person for so long and I've never gotten anything out of this friendship, so now must be the time where I finally get something. So you might have called this person to see if they could, just listen to you talk about your love life or something, and they didn't want to listen. Because I feel like this was a shitty friend, and you've been with, I think you're still friends with this person to this day. You haven't closed that door on this person because you'd feel like that would be it'd be a mean thing to do or something. But, I think you need to ask yourself whether these people are worth it for you, if you like them, if you like spending time with them, if you find them to be, like, of course, there might be friendships that you have where, okay, you don't like them, but you want to still, talk to them because they need you more than you need them, and like that, maybe hold on to those if you feel like, it would, like, there's maybe no reason to make this person, upset for no, yeah. So if that's how you feel about someone in your life, okay, that's fine. Then do it from the goodness of your heart or whatever. But at some point, you need to choose yourself. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but I'm gonna shuffle the cards. Okay, yeah, I know, I remembered now. That was what I was doing. You know, it's a tarot reading after all, but okay. Two of Beers reversed. It's Two of Wands. Two of Wands. So with the Two of Wands reversed. Okay. That, I think, yeah, this is this is your biggest weakness, is that maybe you don't, like, you know, this in the Rider-Waite, this is someone who's looking at a globe, and this person is like, oh, thinking about their next adventure, what they're gonna do, where they're gonna go, and you don't do that enough. Like, you don't think about, like, what do I want to do? Like, what adventure do I want to have next? You think about, you know, I need to be there for this person or that person. I need to be close to my mom because she needs me. Or, like, you don't think about what is your life purpose? What are you supposed to do with your life? And what mark do you want to put in the world? Okay, I'm going to shuffle a little bit more. King of Spirits reversed. King of Spirits. Okay, so King of Swords reversed. I think sometimes you forget that you're very capable, and you would be capable of being a boss. Like, you could start your own business. You could do something on your own. You could have your own career. You don't have to work underneath somebody. Like, you don't have to take orders from someone. You can be the one giving orders. And with the Eight of Daggers, which is Eight of Pentacles, okay, so I think this is also saying that, you know, you might have like a little bit of a curse of, you know, doing stuff for others that they end up taking credit for. And you should stop doing that, like, right away. Stop doing that. That is not, that, you know, that's a waste of your time, and you know that, and it is like, don't let someone take advantage of you. I'm getting like a feeling that maybe sometimes you were talked into, like maybe when you were in school, you might have been talked into helping someone with their homework, or, you know, writing an essay for someone, or, you know, or rewriting an essay for someone because they sent it to you last minute and asked you to, you know, asked you to fix it or something. And maybe you've also given your old assignments, like old essays that you wrote, you might have given them to someone who was, you know, a year younger than you or 2 years younger than you or something, just because, you know, you wanted to help them out or something. But I think, you know, you need to stop helping people and stop doing things for people that they are supposed to do themselves. Stop running errands for people who can easily run those errands themselves. And stop being so nice and polite and be like so easy to persuade. Like, say no. Like, if someone is calling you like in the middle of the night and wants to pour their heart out, or wants to, you know, like, ask them to call you tomorrow in like in a time where they're, you know, where it's not taking away from your sleep, which is going to make you tired tomorrow and make you less efficient at your job. And, you know, make sure that it's in your time. Make sure to take charge of, you know, the situation and take control over it, and say, like, you need to, like, we need to what's it called? Like, we need to reschedule this, because we never scheduled this to begin with. You just interrupted my schedule, and let's just find another time when both of us are not busy, you know? And don't be so generous with your time. Don't be the first one to give up your own time for other people. And also at work, you know, if you're working in a place where you're taking each other's shifts for each other, like if there's like some sickness or something, and you have to take someone's shift, don't always be the one sacrificing, you know. Wait a little bit and see if someone else is going to step up. It doesn't have to always be you. So don't be the reliable one. Don't be the one that everybody goes to whenever they, you know, whenever they need something, just because they know that you're always going to say yes. So, but yeah, this is coming as your weakness, that you don't seem to be able to say no to people. And that this is also, like, this is, you know, this is tainting your career life, your job life, your work life. But it's also tainting your love life, because you're not saying no to the people that you're supposed to be saying no to. So, and you're too afraid of rejecting people. And you're afraid of rejection too. So it's, you know, maybe that's why. Maybe it's because you know how terrible it feels to be rejected. So you never want to put anybody through that agony. But, you know, you have to. If someone comes with an offer that is not good enough for you, you have to say no. And you don't have to give them a chance. And you don't have to give them another date and another date and another date just to see if it might change. You know, you don't have to. If you feel, like, if you intuitively feel from the get-go that something feels off about this, you know, you don't have to see them again. And you can ghost as well, you know. I know you're never going to, but you can. And maybe you need to try it, because it might make it feel less bad when you get ghosted, when you know that you've ghosted some people too, you know. Because I feel like right now you're the only one who has experienced, like, that you have experienced ghosting before. I'm sensing that, but I don't think you have ever ghosted anybody. And you need to change that, because, you know, the scales, like, you know, you have to balance that out. Because right now it's giving like this false illusion that you're unlovable because you have only been ghosted but never ghosted somebody. But that, you know, but it's because you are so adaptable that you feel like, oh, I can give this person a chance again, even though they were a prick to me, and even though they were being super offensive at the date, and even though the date was horrible, and that this person was, you know, mean to the waiter, and, you know, all of that. But even then you would still maybe be like, okay, but maybe next time we go on a date, it might be different, you know? So like, I feel like you shouldn't be giving people so many chances, you know? And with the 5 of Wands, which is 5 of Cups, so yeah, I think you get disappointed sometimes, and I think it's very strange that you end up getting disappointed, because, you know, like, you already know that you're going to get disappointed, but then when you get disappointed, it's like, oh, that's disappointing, but, you know, I think you already know, like, when you date someone and like, then, like, for instance, with the dating, like, yeah, with the ghosting, that if you go on a date and it's horrible, it's a horrible date, terrible, no chemistry, no nothing, everything is just, you know, you were just looking at your watch all the time, just waiting for it to end, and then, you know, you might even get disappointed when they ghost you. No! Don't get disappointed. It was inevitable that it wasn't going to work out. Maybe you were just hoping that it was going to be you who were ghosting them and not the other way around. But how would that work when you're not the type of person who ghosts people? Like, you know, don't get disappointed over something that obviously wasn't good for you. And, you know, when something ends, you have to just be happy, you know, happy that you didn't have to be the one, you know, doing that. Maybe it was just a blessing in disguise that, you know, this person ghosted you, because, you know, you didn't want to be with them. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I'm gonna move on to, so the time is running away, but I'm gonna move on to how to turn this into a strength. And I don't, like, okay, so I'm gonna do some channeling and then I'm gonna shuffle the cards. So how can group number 2 turn it into, like, turn their weakness, biggest weakness, into a strength? That they are so adaptable, and, you know, that they can't say no, and all of that. How can that be turned into a strength? Well, you are a very nice person, and that can't be taken away from you, you know, in any way. I don't know how to turn this into a strength, because at the end of the day, I feel like this is something that you need to work on. But I think it might be nice to know, you know, that you are adaptable, so that if something bad happens, you can rest in knowing that you have been able to adapt to anything that has been thrown at you up until now. So why wouldn't you be able to adapt to that too? You know? So that's a good thing to know. But that just shouldn't be the standard, though. When you go into a new thing, it shouldn't be the standard that you can just adapt to it and that it's going to be fine. You know, with time, when you lower your standards to the point where it's going to feel good to be in that relationship or whatever, because, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to shuffle because I don't know how to turn it into a strength. Not because it's such a big weakness that I can't even see the positive, but it's also because I have this weakness too. And I can't really see how to turn it into a strength. So, but I'm gonna see. Okay, so the cards are. I hate that card. Oh God. Like, it's the Hanged Man in this card, like a card deck here. It's very, very disgusting. It's someone who's throwing up in the toilet, and you know it's real. It's real throw up. You know, it's real vomit. And like if there's something that I hate, and it's vomit. Like you know. Okay. I guess maybe you're not really supposed to turn this into a strength. Maybe this reading was just about your biggest weakness, because you need to know that this is not a very, you know, it's not something that you can't go on like this. But of course, the good thing is that this makes you very humble. You're a very humble person, and people like humble people. Of course, people say that they want people to have confidence, but that's only until they get confidence, because then nobody likes them. Nobody likes a confident person, only in theory. Never in practice, like never in real life do people like confident people. They only like the idea that, you know, they can see someone who's not confident and be like, oh, you're missing something. You need to change, because this is not good. Like, you're too insecure. You're too nervous around other people, and you need to be different. But then, like, yeah, it's just. I guess there really isn't anything that everybody's going to like, but I feel like if there's something that people like more than other things, it is people who are humble. Just not if they're humble bragging, then people are like, ugh. But when people are truly humble and just talking themselves down, well, usually people like that, and especially men love that, especially psychopathic, kind of narcissistic men love, you know, people who don't have like a profile picture on Facebook, because it's like, oh, you find yourself so ugly that you don't even want to put a profile picture. I think I might love you, because that, you know, wow, like that's so good. Like, I can use that. I can work with that, like that. If that makes sense. Like, people are terrible, but you know, so in a way, it's a strength, but you're. Like in terms of friendships, I think you are maybe someone who is good at making friendships. People tend to like you very quickly, but I feel like when it comes to love, I think you attract some very disturbing people, kind of psychos, narcissists, people who have problems with the law, you know, people who don't like to play by the rules. Abusers, sexual criminals, sexual offenders, people who have a record, yeah, people like that would maybe be sniffing you out because you give off that humble vibe, and that humble vibe is, you know, like it's predatorial for them to see like, oh, humbleness is a weakness. Like, oh, let's see if we can break this person, like, because this person is already breaking themselves down. Let's just, you know, put a little pressure and we can break them down completely. And then we can, you know, have them forever. And then it won't be a struggle, you know? I don't know if that makes sense. Now I'm just rambling. I feel like I have been rambling for a long time now in this reading. And, you know, I'm not sure if any of this makes sense. But let's just see. Like the Chariot here. Turn it into a strength, and like how to turn it into a strength. You know, you have to be the one, like you can see how this man is like this man is on the dance floor and the spotlight is on him. And, you know, you have to look at people on the dance floor or in the bar or whatever. And you have to single them out and be like, oh, that person, I want to be with that person. And then you have to act upon that. And that, in that way, I think you can eliminate the predators, because then you become the predator, or like, you don't know, but you know, you can eliminate the creeps because the creeps are attracted to you. But if you are attracted to someone, then it's likely good news. Like I think this would be good if you take charge of the selection, because your intuition is great, so you know who seem like a good bet to you. So okay, with the Eight of Spirits, okay, Eight of Swords, yeah, okay, still, you know, sometimes when you can use the insecurity as a ticket to get the person that you actually want. You know, when you have singled them out and you found them on the dance floor and you go over to them and want to approach them. Of course, this is very, very scary, possibly for some of you if you have social anxiety and don't like to initiate stuff with people. Then that can be, you know, nerve-wracking. Don't ever make that unknown. You know, that could help. If you go up to someone and say like, oh, I'm really nervous doing this because, you know, I don't usually do this. But I just feel like there, you know, I feel like you're someone I need to talk to, because there's something about you that seems awfully familiar, and I just need to see that. Like, can we have a conversation? That's a terrible way to start a conversation. But you know, it's not like being a little bit socially awkward has never ruined anybody's game in the dating game, because you know, sometimes it's actually a relief for the other person to talk to someone who starts out by being like, I've never done this before, I don't know how to do this, but you know, I just want to take a chance. I don't care where this is going necessarily. I just want to at least try, because then I can say that I tried, and you don't have to say yes, but like, I just want to, you know, want to see if there is something here. That could help. It could help being a little bit nervous. Could even be charming to most people. could give a little bit of that, you know, new girl vibe, you know, that I believe a lot of men actually like that vibe. I don't know, I think people nowadays would probably consider that to be like a pick-me thing. I don't know, like, I don't follow with the modern pop culture thing, I don't know, but I, like, it's my experience that it helps. I don't know. So with the moon, okay, how to turn this into a strength. And the moon is here, but it's also like it's snookers or whatever. Like, there's a pool table here, and so it's a game, and you know, it's, I don't know, you can use it as a game. I don't know why, like, this is also like an hour into this reading, and I assume that there's like 2 people watching right now because nobody has watched this reading up until now. Like, I don't assume people have that kind of, oh god, no, people don't have the time for that, do they? I don't think people have time. You don't. Like, okay, but for the 2 of you still watching, I'm gonna end the reading very soon. Okay, so with the 4 of Wands, 4 of Cups. Yeah, you have to say no. But how is that a strength? Like, turning it into a strength that that you're not able to say no. How can you turn that into a strength by saying no? That makes no sense. But okay, let's just say that you're not supposed to, you know, say yes to everything. But you can also rest in the feeling of knowing, or like rest in the knowledge that you actually are very much a yes person. Like, you're a yes man. And that's also a good thing, that you are a very positive person who is very easy to hang out with. And, you know, you are also always up to stuff. Like, if they talk, like, people can talk you into a lot of things, and you're always like you're game, you know. And that's nice. People like people who are game every time they come up with an idea, like some adventure, some journey, that it's nice to have someone who's always like, oh, let's do it, you know. But sometimes you could also turn it around and be the person who actually comes with suggestions and be like, let's go to Spain, you know, or whatever. So I hope you got something out of this reading. I'm going to end the reading here and leave it to you to decide whether you thought this reading was helpful. And, you know, you can decide. It's your choice. And if you choose that it was helpful, please like the video. If you choose that it wasn't helpful, don't dislike it, you know. Just leave, you know, just leave the reading, you know. You don't have to always put your opinion out there, but, you know, it's nice to do, though, in other settings, to tell people what you like and what you dislike. Just not in this setting, because you know, I would be sad, you know. Pepsi is not going to be sad if you choose Coke over it, but I'm going to be sad if you dislike my video, because I spent so much time on it, you know. Oh God, I'm so tired. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm sorry. So I'm just going to end the reading here. I'm probably going to do it all over. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to figure it out. Let's just say, like, have a great day, or don't have a great day. If you don't feel like it, you don't have to. And bye. Hello, group number 3. You chose this, the Supernatural Tarot, and I'm going to start with some channeling, and then I'm going to shuffle the cards for you. So I'm going to do the channeling now. So Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 3, the people who will choose group number 3? I'm going to start with, what is your biggest weakness? So Spirit, what is group number 3's biggest weakness? That you're a procrastinator. That you push things forward and, you know, push things out in the future, and, you know, you let things linger a little bit around, like that. If there's something that you need to do and it takes like 5 minutes to do it, you would rather just have that task linger and taint everything, because it's always like in your mind and always in the back of your mind. No matter what you're doing, you're always constantly thinking about this thing that you have to do, and instead of just doing it, I feel like maybe some of you have some like executive dysfunction, that it's really hard for you to maybe start something. Like, even if it's a very simple task, even if it's gonna take you like just a moment, a short moment to get it done, you know, it might be really hard to find that motivation to get it done. And yeah, and you might have an easier time doing it for someone else, but it's really hard when you have to do it just for you. You know, you might need that motivational factor where, for instance, if you do it for someone else, like if someone has, like if you have to, you know, schedule a dentist appointment and you have to do it for yourself, then, you know, you might push it forward, and then like you're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, or I'm gonna do it next week, or and then when next week comes, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna do it the week after that, or whatever, and then you just keep pushing it forward. But if someone asked you to do it for them, like if your mother asked you if you could, you know, call the dentist for her, I think it would be easier for you to do it for her than to do it for yourself. And it might be easier for you to, for instance, like do the dishes at your parents' house or at someone else's house than to do it in your own house. Especially if you live alone, you might not have that motivational factor where you feel like you're doing it for someone else. Maybe you have to have that, because maybe it's not just the pleasure of doing it for you. Like maybe that pleasure is not really that big, or maybe you just don't really feel that that relieved when you do it yourself, like or for yourself, that it doesn't really give you that same effect of feeling like, oh, that was nice that I accomplished this, or that it's nice that now the kitchen is clean, and that's nice, and it's gonna make me feel good when I walk into the kitchen that it's clean. Like maybe you don't have that satisfaction of, you know, walking into a clean area. I don't have that myself. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, if my house is clean or my kitchen is clean, like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't give me any, you know, feeling of, like, it's like the only thing I sometimes, like, I would feel embarrassed if someone else was, you know, a spectator of it, like, was if someone walked in and saw it. But like, when I'm in it, like when I'm walking around in my own home, just living alone, like, I don't care if there's something on the floor, like if there's clothes on the floor, or if something, like, it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't really see it. Like, I get to a point where it's just not really something I notice. So I understand absolutely what, like, if you feel that way, because I feel that way too. So but I'm sensing that this is a weakness of yours, that you have to have other people as a motivational factor to do things, that you can't just, you know, do things for yourself, that maybe you're afraid of being selfish or doing something just to please yourself. Like, maybe you don't even, like, cook food for yourself. If you live alone, you might not really see any pleasure in cooking for yourself, because it's like there's no one to, you know, to do it for. Like, it's not, and maybe you need to somehow, like, turn it around and say, like, that, you know, you're doing it for you. And that is, you know, you should also want to do nice things for yourself. Just, and have yourself as a motivational factor, if that makes sense. But I think it's hard. It's not easy to do that. But yeah. I'm also getting that some of you don't get enough exercise, and that, you know, you might not have that, you know, feeling of motivation to do it, because you're just doing it for you, and that might not be motivational, a big enough motivational factor. But I feel like it would maybe do you good, just in order to relieve some of the pain that you have, because I'm getting the feeling that some of you have some pain in your body, maybe especially in your back, or just pain all over, really. Like that, I feel like this could maybe somehow be relieved a little bit if you started building up the muscles, especially in your back. And that maybe you should, like, I think you already know this. I think you know that if you went to the gym, that would probably do you good, like physically, and like feeling strong, feeling, you know, healthy in your body, or feeling like your body can maybe function a little bit better if you strengthened it. And that, yeah, I think you all know that, and I think you all know that this would be something that would be maybe the ultimate self-care for yourself, to really put in some time to, you know, do that for yourself. But I don't think, like, I feel like that is your biggest weakness, is that you don't really start something, that you have a hard time initiating things like that, like starting a task, starting like a new thing, like walking into a gym. Like maybe you know that after you walk in, like the next day and the day after that, or the week after that, or the month after that, that it's going to be easier, but it's just so hard to take that first step. that you end up not doing it, and just like kind of giving yourself excuses, and maybe even, you know, feeding yourself some worst case scenarios that, you know, it's just gonna, maybe I'm just gonna throw my back if I go to the gym, so maybe it's just gonna make it worse, or maybe I'm gonna have some other health issues if I go, or maybe it's gonna do this or that, and I could end up, you know, having a seizure or having a stroke, or maybe I would get an epilepsy attack, or maybe something would trigger my anxiety so much that I would get a panic attack, or maybe it's like, I'm just like, I know this is not going to be for all of you, but you know, I feel like some of you might think in worst case scenarios, and maybe deep down you're kind of doing that just because, you know, you're kind of talking yourself out of going. And so, I don't know. And maybe trying to justify not going to yourself, making it a little bit more like, yeah. But I feel like maybe you should start doing some things that you know will actually be good for you. Like things that you know you're going to thank yourself for later when you feel a little bit better, when you feel, you know, that not everything causes you pain. Because I feel like right now, like when, even like if you do something, like if you have like an active day where you're, you know, lifting a lot of boxes or something, like maybe you have recently moved for someone or helped someone move, and you ended up maybe throwing your back just by lifting boxes, and maybe you felt like, you know, partially you felt like it was your fault, that maybe this wouldn't have happened if you had been in better shape or something. But I feel like not all of it is just because you're in bad shape. I feel like a part of it is also just natural aging, you know, that maybe be a little bit less hard on yourself, because, you know, at some point we get, like when we maybe hit 30 or something like that, it starts becoming harder to move for people, and, you know, it might be like the smallest things that end up, you know, causing some like stupid movement that's gonna make you feel, you know, feel a lot of pain because of some one movement, and then you might end up getting stuck in one like in one position, and you can't, you know, get yourself, like that sort of thing. Like it, I'm not trying to make it less than it is. I'm just saying this for those of you who feel like it was your fault because you're in bad shape. I don't think it's just that, you know. I think it would have happened even, like, but it's just like sometimes some things also just happen. Like we might throw our back just randomly. Like it doesn't always have to have like some causation. Like not everything is cause and effect. Sometimes things are just like correlations. Like there's some things, of course it seems like, I don't know, but I feel like I think sometimes you give yourself a lot of the blame for everything that happens in your life, because you feel like, oh, it's just because I'm in bad shape. Oh, that happened. Oh, it's just because I'm in bad shape. Maybe you got asthma and you even thought that, oh, it's just because I don't exercise enough, and then I got asthma because of that, or I don't know, like that. Maybe you just but I'm just sensing that, you know, in a sense, I'm sensing that your biggest weakness is that you're too mean to yourself. but you're also a little bit too nice to yourself. And I know it doesn't really make sense when I say it that way, but you know, you blame yourself for everything. You blame yourself and you blame your body for everything that happens. You know, that you feel like, oh, it's just your body and that it's just terrible, and you're doing this and that wrong, and you're not exercising, and you're not eating the right things, and you're not doing this and that and that and that. But I feel like there are also just, you know, I think mostly the things that happen are like, it can be like, if you feel a certain way, like it can, if you get sick or something, it can be your body reacting to something in the outside of you, like in your environment. But I feel like sometimes you just give yourself all the blame, that, oh, it's just your body is wrong, everything is, you know, exteriorating, I don't know which one it is, but you know, that it's all just kind of crumbling under itself, kind of, that you feel like nothing is really working, and that it's you're the one that is wrong, not everything around you. Like, and I feel like I feel like often you think that there's something wrong with you, but you don't really take into account the things that are happening around you that could be, you know, causing your body and you mentally also to react to that thing, you know. A lot of people actually do that a little bit more than they should. Like, some people have some health issues or some mental issues, and they are convinced that it must be somebody else's fault, you know. Oh, that it must be their girlfriend who probably makes them feel this way, or like it must be because they, you know, they have like something in the outside. Like, some people are very good at seeing everything else like being in the wrong, and that they are never in the wrong, that it's always something else. But I feel like you do the opposite, that it's always just something wrong with you. And yeah, I think I think you need to stop blaming yourself, and like, don't avoid going to the doctor, for instance, just because you're afraid of getting the label as a hypochondriac or something like that, because you feel like, well, of course it does maybe appear that way when you always think it's your body's fault, like that, that it's something that like that, but I don't think you have actually been to the doctor enough to actually have this problem necessarily. But I feel like some of you might have been to the doctor when you were younger, and then I think there has been a long time now where you haven't really sought out your doctor because you didn't really want maybe you didn't want that speech, you know, that, oh, it's something that you're doing. Like I hate going to my doctor about my back, because it's like, I know what they're gonna say. That is because I have bad posture and I need to work on my posture, and it's just a posture, and it's just because I have a bad posture and I'm not doing enough to make sure that I don't have a bad posture, and I walk stupidly, and I have, you know, hypermobility in my knees, so I stand in a wrong way. Every time I stand up, I stand in the wrong way, and I should stand in the right way, and it's just something that I'm doing that is stupid. And like this bashing on, like, of, even though, yes, it's probably true though, like, yeah, I get it, that maybe I am just, you know, functioning wrong in life, like maybe I'm just failing at life because I can't even stand straight. Like that must be like the only thing I should be able to do. Like truly, like what kind of human being am I if I can't even stand, you know, correctly? But I think, so I feel like I understand your mentality. If your mentality is somewhat similar to mine, of course I don't know if this resonates with you. Then yes. So, but I think like what I'm sensing here is that you're too hard on yourself in certain times. You're too hard on yourself, you know, and you're not seeking help. You're not doing anything because you're afraid of getting that label that, oh, you're just you know, it's just maybe you're afraid that people are going to tell you that you're to blame for your suffering, so you don't want to go see a professional, an expert about it, and even get some help and get some pointers and get some advice on how to, you know, fix it. So, and then sometimes I feel like you're a little bit too good on yourself, since maybe sometimes you know that there's something that's good for you, like, you know, fixing some of your health issues in order to maybe function better and have more energy and have less pain and be, you know, more, you know, feel better in your own body and stuff like that. But you don't do that, and yeah, and maybe you procrastinate that too much, and that's your biggest weakness, seems to be procrastination, that you seem a little bit passive. I'm going to shuffle and see what the cards have to say about what is your biggest weakness. Okay. Okay, 8 of Swords and Ace of Blades, which is Ace of Swords too. Sorry, it's Swords. Yeah, like this is Swords. Okay, so Ace of Blades, it's reversed. Okay, it's the mark of Cain on the card here. And it's reversed, and the mark of Cain, you know, that's the curse that, you know, Cain had to walk the earth and never stop, and that there was the curse to always keep moving, never stagnating. And you know, you have the opposite of that. I do too. Like, sorry if I sound, you know, like, it's just I found it a little bit funny, but it's just like I don't know. But yeah, I think maybe you're not moving enough. Who is? Like, who gets enough exercise? Like, I don't, like, I feel like this is something that is a very universal problem. So for you to have that as your biggest weakness, actual weakness, like, you know, so it's your biggest weakness is literal weakness of the body, like, and that you don't move your body enough, don't exercise enough. It could also be like in a less literal sense, that sometimes you might stagnate a little bit in your life and not really get things done and not really start anything new, and that you might have some dreams and things that you want to do, but you end up, you know, maybe talking yourself out of it, and then end up doing nothing instead, or doing something that you're more safe with. Instead of taking a chance on something new, you just go back to what you already know. So So yeah. So I feel like that is your biggest weakness, is that you're too stagnant, you're too passive, that you might not take action, and that you have some executive dysfunction when it comes to, you know, starting new tasks. So yeah. And go to new places. And do something that seems, you know, I feel like some of you might have some agoraphobia, maybe fear of crowds. Maybe some of you also have some face blindness. Sometimes you might not be able to see, you know, like see the difference in two different faces, like, or you know, being able to distinguish between two faces, like not being able to see the difference between, you know, Matt Damon and, you know, Mark Wahlberg, but who can? Like those, like that's a bad example, because, you know, it's like they are the same person. I believe so. Like it's just a very calculated person who ended up getting two careers for the, you know, for the price of one, and got you know, got to have that. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But this is just coming through as a very random thing. But I feel like I was talking about agoraphobia. That was, and I think maybe that's also what is maybe causing you to not want to, for instance, go to a gym. Even though there are, of course, other ways to exercise, but maybe going to the gym would maybe be good for you, but or good in order to strengthen, especially your back, get your back built up, so that you don't always feel like you're throwing your back every time you do something, and you know, getting some defense in your back, like something where it's defending itself, or like, you know, by, you know, building the muscles so that it can actually withhold and withstand, you know, pressure. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I'm not a professional in that sense, but in you know, training and stuff like that. But I think it would be good for you. But of course, if the gym is very scary, or if you feel like it's kind of too much, you know, where you're afraid that something is going to happen if you go, or that you feel like it's a very uncomfortable place because, you know, you're maybe a little bit left on your own if you go, like maybe get someone to go with you, because it might be scary to walk into a gym alone. So maybe that would help, to find someone who might be like-minded, someone who has the same struggles with it, and you know, also go to some gym that is not, you know, like don't go to a big gym where like there's a lot of people there. Like try to find something a little bit more intimate, something like a startup gym, like maybe something in someone's garage or something, like something where it's a little bit more unprofessional, but at least you can see the people working there, like, and you can tell that they're passionate, because they wouldn't be doing this, like they wouldn't have, you know, a startup gym in their garage if it wasn't because they are passionate about weightlifting, you know, that they wouldn't. So I feel like that would maybe be like an example of a good atmosphere to be in, because I think you would also get more, you know, personal help, and you would easily get a spotter you know, someone to spot you if you're lifting heavy weights, if you're afraid that something could happen when you do that, and you're afraid of, you know, maybe going into a big gym because, you know, you would maybe be lost in the crowd and nobody would notice if you fainted, or if something happened, or if you had like a health emergency, that nobody would notice because everybody's busy in the mirror, you know, taking selfies and stuff. Like, then maybe go somewhere where you can tell that there's a bigger dedication to, you know, weightlifting as like a and you know, a focus on strength rather than losing weight, because I'm sensing that, you know, it should be something you should do just to, you know, strengthen your muscles, so that you're not in pain. But it should, like, the goal should never be to lose weight. I feel like that should be at most a secondary thing, not the main purpose. So okay, with the 8 of Swords, I think you can do more than you give yourself credit for. I think you are a stronger person, and I think you can you sometimes talk yourself down. And I think you should stop doing that, because words have power. Even the words that you tell yourself, maybe try to, you know, change your inner dialogue a little bit, and maybe try to make it a little bit more positive. I know this sounds like pocket philosophy, you know, but it's just maybe I feel like it can end up, like, because you end up maybe talking yourself out of doing things that are actually good for you, you could talk yourself into it instead. Try to find reasons why you should do the things that you are thinking about doing, rather than think about the things that that could go wrong, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna move on to, you know, how to turn this into a strength. How to turn your biggest weakness into a strength. I guess, you know, you could turn your biggest weakness into a strength by literally strengthening your weakness. Like, if you have, your weakness is, for instance, your back. If that is your biggest weakness, strengthen that weakness to the point where it can become your biggest strength, the part of your body that's actually the strongest, you know. So that could be one of the things. But I'm more interested kind of in the whole procrastination thing, how to turn that into a strength, or, you know, I don't know, like, I don't know how to do that. But, you know, the World reversed and the Hermit reversed. Okay. I'm gonna have to ask, so Spirit, can you clarify the World reversed in this question of how can group number 3 turn their biggest weakness into a strength? You know, sometimes you can turn the end into a new beginning. And, you know, that is nice to remember, that sometimes I think when you procrastinate, it's not always bad, because I feel like in the past it might have actually worked out for you. in certain situations, and it can probably also do that in the future as well, is that I think sometimes the procrastination, especially of like when you have been in education and you have had a deadline and you had to finish at that deadline, you might have been able to see, I can't finish it by the deadline, but then, I can get a new one, and then I'm going to be able to finish it completely. But because if I hand in this assignment at the deadline, it's going to be like a pile of nothing. It's going to be like a shitty assignment, and I'm going to get a bad grade, and that's terrible for me, or whatever, or that was maybe how it felt at that time when you were in the educational system. Maybe you still are, but I don't know. Like that, I think you were able to see that the opportunity in it, like that, you could, prolong the time that you had to finish the project or finish the assignment. So it was not necessarily procrastination, it was prolonging and making it, stretching it out so that you had more time to figure it out and actually make it bettering it. Whereas some of the people who just did what they were supposed to do and handed in the essay or the assignment at the deadline ended up getting worse results than you, because you took the time and you were able to really feel, maybe with your intuition, that it would all turn out much better if you procrastinated. Not necessarily procrastination in that sense, but prolonging it. Procrastination is a different thing. I know that. But sometimes I feel like it has actually worked out in your favor that you haven't been able to reach your deadline. So I don't think it has always been a bad thing, if that makes sense. Because I think at every time we overstep a deadline, it's that, like every time we exceed an end and start it as a new beginning, that's, I don't know, like that's just what I see from the World card reversed. I don't know. I'm going to move on to the Hermit. So the Hermit reversed, Spirit, can you clarify the Hermit reversed in terms of how to turn it into a strength? The biggest weakness that group number 3 has. I feel like, remember that you, like, it's not because you're not able to do the things that you're not doing. Because you know that you can do it for other people. You just know that you can't do it for yourself. But you can always rest in the knowledge that you're capable. You're just much more capable when you're helping others. And that is something that you can take with you in your career, that maybe you're mostly supposed to, work in a field that's helping other people, where you're working with people, maybe helping them through therapy, or helping them like by doing social work or something like that. That maybe one of those fields, the more humanitarian fields, are maybe the fields that you would feel more efficient and effective at, that you would feel that you were maybe more in your element in one of those careers, if that makes sense. So maybe that is also, why it's your biggest strength, is that it's not your biggest, or yeah, I guess it, like the fact that you are more able to help others and you are able to help yourself is actually speaking very loudly of your character. And I feel like you shouldn't be mad at yourself for having like a little bit of executive dysfunction when it comes to your own life, if you don't have that when it comes to other people, helping other people, then, you know, that just means that you're a very selfless person, and being selfless is not a bad thing. Sometimes you have to, of course, maybe take a step back and, you know, figure out how can you put the oxygen mask on yourself so that you can more easily help others, you know, and put the oxygen mask on others. So sometimes you have to take maybe a little bit of a, you know, a check, like check yourself, check your body, check if there is something that you need to do for it so that you can function better, you know. So I think that's all I have for you. Group number 3. I'm gonna end the reading here. So thank you for watching and have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 4. You chose the Omegaland Tarot, and I'm gonna start with some channeling, and then I'm gonna shuffle the cards for you. So I'm gonna do the channeling now, and I'm gonna start with what is your biggest weakness, and then I'm gonna turn it around later in the reading and you know, turn it into a strength. But that's like I'm gonna start with what is your biggest weakness so that we can just get that established. So Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 4, the people who will choose group number 4? What is group number 4's biggest weakness? Okay. I'm sensing that your biggest weakness is that you have a fascination for useless people and useless things. Like, and that sounds really harsh, but you know, I feel like sometimes you get very passionate about things. Like maybe you have some hobbies or something, but none of them seem to be actually productive, or they are a little bit useless, you know. They aren't very practical. You might have a big talent, and you might be better than most people at something, but it doesn't seem like that thing can be monetized, or it might be hard to monetize it, because even if you tried, there might not be anyone who is super interested, or like I'm sorry to say that, but it just seems like maybe it's not something that can be, you know, I don't know. It's just that it seems very niche, you know, and that maybe you have a tendency to be more drawn to the niches, like the stuff that not a lot of other people are interested in. But I'm also sensing that this is also about people, like in your romantic life, maybe you have had a little bit of a tendency to fall in love with useless people, people who have, you know, shown no promise whatsoever, like someone who just, you know, doesn't want to commit, doesn't want to, you know, put a label on the relationship, doesn't want to, you know, do anything other than, you know, things that are selfish, like selfish things that help them out, but they don't want to do anything for other people. Like they are just looking for handouts from others, kind of using other people, and that you've maybe been drawn to that a little bit, and I kind of ended up, like, even if you haven't like intentionally searched for this, I think the romantic encounters that you've had in the past have always turned out to be kind of useless, and even worse than that, some people who have just been taking and taking and taking without giving you anything in return. So, and kind of lost causes, people who had some serious issues, like stray dogs, like that. You might have like a soft spot for people who seem a little bit, mentally or emotionally unstable. People who don't seem to really be able to take care of themselves, or in any way help themselves out or anything like that. And maybe you see that as like maybe the Samaritan in you kind of wants to, come to the rescue. Maybe some of you have a little bit of a rescue complex thing, like savior complex, that you kind of want to, help people, turn their life around and be there. And maybe you feel like nobody is, bad to the bone. Like everybody has a side that can be, enhanced, like a good side that can be enhanced, and but maybe that's not your job. Like maybe that's something that you have to leave to, the professionals at the psych ward or something like that. They can do that, and then, then you can maybe try looking for romantic encounters that are not problematic. And I think most of you have come to that conclusion yourself. I think you know that you deserve to maybe be in a normal relationship, like normal healthy relationship, where there is like a balance between give and take, and where where you don't have to be like a social worker for the person that you're in a relationship with, like that. I'm gonna shuffle and see what the cards have to say about what is your biggest weakness. Ace of Swords reversed, Six of Swords, Six of Swords does have a little bit of that savior complex in it, because it's about, taking someone away from somewhere, like taking someone away from stormy waters and sailing them over to calm waters. Usually there are two people in the boat, like in the imagery, in the Rider-Waite, there's like two people. Well, there's three people, I think, actually. Like there's the one who's sailing the boat, and then there are two passengers in the boat. And, it's about, sailing from stormy waters into calm waters. And I think you want that. I think you want to be the sailor, not the one being saved. I think you want to be the one kind of being there for others. Maybe you have had some kind of epiphany at some point that you wanted to, maybe during the pandemic, I don't know, that you kind of felt like you were lacking a purpose in life, and maybe realized that you wanted to be like a catalyst of change, like that you wanted to change, be the one changing people's lives, being the one, planting a seed in other people's lives and seeing it grow, Maybe you decided to, that you wanted to work in the social field with either kids or teenagers or young adults or people who have had it rough, you know, people with addictions, homeless people, or people who have mental issues or something like that. And maybe you do already do that. Maybe you're working with people for a living and helping people out, and maybe that is like, so even though this comes up as your biggest weakness, I can already tell that it has turned into your biggest strength, because it has shown you your purpose in life. But maybe keep your professional life and your personal life a little bit, you know, separated, so that you don't, like, that you can have that savior complex at work, because that is where you can put it to good use. But maybe don't pick up stray dogs or stray humans out, like, in your personal life. Like, you can pick up stray dogs, you know, that's not a problem, unless you work in the field of saving dogs, saving homeless dogs. Then maybe don't, you know, don't adopt all the dogs, or don't pick up stray dogs for yourself to the point where you just have like a whole kennel of dogs. If that is not, like, even though that's okay, like, but maybe don't, like, maybe try to keep it a little bit separated, so that your work doesn't end up becoming your whole life. If that makes sense. Okay. So with the Lovers reversed, I guess your biggest weakness is that you have a soft spot for people who are not good for you. Like, this is like you can see this relationship here, like there's like two people sleeping together, there's like a gun here and stuff like that. Maybe you have a tendency to fall for the bad boys, kind of, or maybe you like romantic encounters with people who are a little bit more edgy, or something like that. Or maybe you used to. I don't know if that is still your type, you know. With the Empress reversed, I feel like you have maybe a tendency to fall for people who might also have a drug problem, or have, you know, a drinking problem, or have some problem with PTSD. Maybe someone who has been, like, maybe you've had a relationship with someone who was a soldier, or, you know, went to war or something, and then you know, you might have, you know, yeah, that might have been a part of why you fell in love with the person, was that they had some baggage, that they had something that they dealt with, something that was, you know, a little bit dark and a little bit heavy, that it might have given the person depth, where you felt like this person is interesting because they have more layers to them. And maybe you kind of wanted them to see a part of you, like that you wanted to be noticed. That maybe you have a tendency to be drawn to people who have had, you know, a very rough life, people who have a lot of things that they struggle with mentally, because maybe you feel like that is the type of person who is going to recognize you, like the part of you that you keep very hidden, and that you don't show people because you're very good at masking it. And so maybe this part of you has been, you know, suppressed, and you've pushed it down to the point where, you know, where maybe you don't even associate yourself with it anymore. Like maybe you feel like that's not a part of your identity, your persona, but maybe it is still something that is inside of you that is being ignored. And maybe because it's being ignored, it's being pushed towards the surface, if that makes sense. Like everything that we suppress will have a life of its own, and try really hard to be seen. And so maybe subconsciously you've been finding people who can see you, and maybe you don't think people who have boring normal lives and normal upbringings, that they, maybe you feel like they wouldn't be able to see that part of you because they wouldn't recognize it, if that makes sense. So with the Devil reversed, well, the Devil is very capitalistic when it's upright. So when it's reversed, I guess, you know, it might go back to what I said in the beginning, that maybe sometimes you have a tendency to shy away from the things that actually have capitalistic value, or things that could actually be monetized, things that you could make a fortune off of, that you don't really seem to be that interested in that sometimes you just like to do things just because it makes you feel good doing it, or that you like, you know, maybe you like drawing, or maybe you like to paint or something like that, and maybe you just do it for the sake of doing it, that it's just meditation for you. It makes you feel, you know, maybe less depressed when you do it or something. And so not everything has to have a practical purpose. And I feel like if it actually turned into a practical purpose, like if it turned into something that you could monetize and make into a job, I don't think you would want to do it anymore. Like it would just lose all value, because then there would be something at stake. Then you would have to really, you know, make sure it is, you know, something that you can sell or put on the market, like that it has to have some kind of marketing value, like it has to have some kind of, you know, popular essence to it, where people would, you know, like I don't know, it just seems like that could be one of your weaknesses, even though I don't see it necessarily as a weakness. But maybe you miss out on some opportunities because of this, if that makes sense. So, but this is also giving me a little bit of that sexual oh, this is someone who like I don't know, I don't understand this imagery, but I guess it's like a big yes, someone who's like a bad boy who's you know, taking away this woman, and then like holding this guy here, like on a leash, kind of making him his bitch or something, you know, I don't know. But this card came out reversed. I don't know. It's like the devil is also about not being free. It's about restriction, or it's about being on a leash, or it's about, you know, not restriction, but it's about being bound. Having this, you know, the chains around you. This card came out reversed, so maybe there is a part of you that is also seeking freedom. Freedom to do whatever you want, instead of being, you know, bound to something. Like if you start monetizing one of your hobbies, you would feel like, okay, then I have to do this for the rest of my life, or I would have to do this for a long time, and then I would have to dedicate myself completely to this one thing. And you know, what if I lose interest? Like I would probably lose interest in like a month if I try to, like, if I only have to focus on one thing. Like that maybe you feel that way, or like feel like you can't really see yourself choosing one path, maybe because sometimes you just feel like, you know, I feel like you have a lot of interests and a lot of small passions, like passions that come and go, where you like suddenly feel extremely passionate about something, where it's like your whole world for like for a month or 2 months or something like that. And then, you know, after that, it's kind of like, okay, that has passed. Now we're into something new. Like, and this, yeah, this could be a weakness, because but it could, I can also see how it can be a strength, because I think you have tried a lot of different things. I feel like you've started a lot of different things, like different degrees. Like maybe you started one university degree and maybe you got like 1 year done, or like you might have, you know, taken exams in like 2 semesters, and then you might have lost interest and then started something new. And then of course maybe you've had like a little bit of a track record of you know, starting and ending things prematurely. But you have also had a lot of different experiences. You know a lot of stuff because you've been passionate about almost everything at some point in your life. So that at some point you've, you know, made some research about it, kind of, you know, gotten deep into something, and then, you know, moved on as soon as it didn't give you what you were, maybe even, like maybe you start something and then when you have what you were looking for, like when you've got it, like when you've learned what you were supposed to learn, then your intuition guides you to something new, where you have to learn what you're supposed to learn, and then, you know, then you're being guided to another direction, you know? And so that is not a bad thing. We shouldn't stay somewhere if we actually have found what we were looking for. Then what is the point in staying in it? So yeah, but maybe you also have like a little bit, maybe you choose to be in relationships with people who have this too. That maybe you don't have that same, like I don't see you as someone who is like an asshole in a relationship. Like I don't think you're someone who would just, you know, keep someone hanging, just, you know, not put a label on it, and you know, I don't think you would do that to another person. But I think that is maybe why you choose the people who are going to do it to you, because then you don't have to be the asshole, but you would still get what you're kind of looking for, because maybe you're not really looking for something that is going to be long term. Maybe because you're afraid that you're not going to be able to commit to someone for that long. I don't know if I'm completely reaching here or if it makes sense to you. I don't know. So I'm gonna move on to how to turn it into a strength. So how can you turn this into a strength? How can you turn it? Okay, 7 of Swords. How can you turn it into a strength? Okay. Knight of Coins. How to turn it into a strength. Okay. Okay, with the Hierophant reversed, I feel like, you're maybe not a very traditional person, and maybe that is good. Maybe that is what you need to kind of hold on to, that you have maybe a little bit of an alternative approach to things, and maybe you don't really conform very well to, the structure that society has, created. Maybe the educational system has failed you a little bit, but it has, like, maybe it just never was the right thing for you. But I feel like some of you have actually gotten a degree, which is very impressive. Take with the cards that you've been dealt, then I feel like you've actually managed to accomplish some things, because I think you're a very smart person. And it was never about that either. Like, it's never a lack of wisdom or a lack of intelligence that hasn't that has been the reason why you've dropped out of things, or why you have changed the course of your path, like your career path. But I feel like maybe you're supposed to be, working in something more alternative, something that where you can do different things and not do the same boring thing over and over again. But I still feel like, working with people is definitely the way to go. But maybe try to look for ways to maybe help people in a more alternative way. I don't know if that makes sense. Like through healing, energy healing, helping them through your psychic abilities, or something like that. With the Queen of Swords reversed, I think you should definitely work with people, because I feel like you have a lot of empathy. And I think, I think you can really understand what people are going through. like especially like if you wanted to, you know, offer therapy to people or do something in that field, the therapy field, like psychology or something like that, you know, I feel like you have an advantage because I think you have some baggage too. I think you've had some experiences that makes you maybe more drawn to the lost causes, because it not because you're a lost cause, but because there might be a little bit of a familiarity with some of the things that they're struggling with, and you understand where they're coming from. You understand some of the more complex emotions that they're feeling. And yeah, I think definitely that could be a way to turn it into a strength. But also, like you're very you're very used to complicated situations, very chaotic situations, and maybe you even thrive a little bit in a chaotic environment. Maybe because you grew up with some chaos around you, so this might be, you know, comfortable to you in some way, in some twisted way, but you know, like that it feels maybe a little bit like home whenever you're in a situation that other people might consider very stressful and very chaotic. You would maybe feel like, you know, it's not so bad, you know, and maybe even give you a feeling of familiarity. And so with the Five of Wands, I feel like your strength is that you're not easily shocked. You're not easily, you know, scared away. Like you don't scare easily, and you can deal with very high stress situations with a calm energy, because you're used to, you know, you're used to a lot. And maybe also, like if you have been in some chaotic relationships too, I feel like this has also equipped you to become a lot more, you know, like it really seems like nothing surprises you. Like nothing anyone could say or do would surprise you at this point. And I think it's because you have dealt with a lot of very difficult people. And it could be like people that you were, like maybe if it's your family, of course you were born into that. But I feel like later in life, I think you've also kind of sorted out a little bit yourself by kind of attracting it into your life, maybe subconsciously. So, and even though, you know, some of it might have been you finding these people kind of subconsciously, it still has been like a little bit of a training for what is to come. Because if you want to work in that field, and if you are already working in that field, this is all going to be experience that you can use. You've been in that, like a situation that has been difficult, and you know what you did back then, and you can learn from those mistakes or from the successes that you've had in the past by, you know, managing a situation. And so you can use that experience. So if some of you have actually been to war, then, you know, I feel like that is definitely a strength that you have too as well. Like that you, like it's not just a weakness. It can also be a strength that you have come to that point where nothing surprises you, and where you know how to handle a difficult situation. So, yeah. With the Knight of Coins, this is someone who's eating a can of beans on a motorcycle, you know, a very simple life. And I feel like that's, like, in some ways I feel like many of you have actually come to enjoy the simple life, that things don't have to be fancy, that you're very anti-capitalistic, very minimalistic in the way that you live. And I think many of you actually don't really see any point in having a lot of flashy things, or, you know, maybe that is also a strength, like that you have now, like that, you know, like from the weakness that you've had in the past, where you've maybe focused a lot of your life on hobbies that were not easily monetized, that with all that much time being spent on that, maybe you haven't spent a lot of time trying to make a lot of money, you know. And so with that, I think you've found a very zen life, a very zen lifestyle, where you've, you know, found like a beautiful way of being restful in the simplicity that like in just, you know, eating a can of beans. Why does it have to be so serious? Like, why does it have to be so, like, life doesn't have to be all about money. Sometimes it can just be about, you know, chilling outside, you know, and having a good time, and, you know, chilling with the people around you, and, you know, making memories, and yeah. So I feel like you have actually managed to turn your biggest weakness into a strength. That's my feeling here. So that's why I'm not gonna give you any advice on how to turn it into a strength, because I feel like you already have done that. So with the Seven of Swords, this is someone who's walking away from people who are sleeping here, like walking out the door. And I think, you know, one of your, like, I feel like with your experience of, you know, having like these shifts where, you know, you start something and then walk away from it, like, I think you've become very comfortable in walking away now. And I think, like, the more you do this, the more you also become comfortable in walking away. And I think this could either be something that you need to become better at by, you know, doing this more in the future, and turning it into a strength by, you know, practicing what you have already done a lot of, but becoming more zen in walking away, that you don't actually have to see things through. You can just feel it in your intuition whether something is for you or whether you should walk away. And there's no shame in starting things and then, you know, ending them like a month after you started it. Of course, other people might see it as a problem, but, you know, the more you can hush people out of your life, like, where you're like, even though, of course, their opinion is valuable to you, but I think the more you start not giving a fuck what other people think, the more you can start living a life where you start a lot of adventures. Maybe some of them will be short, maybe some of them will be a little bit longer, and that's maybe just your path, is to kind of keep moving, you know, And maybe that is your superpower too, that you have like have this need of movement, that you don't like when things end up being too mundane and boring, and then you get this feeling of, you know, I want to try something different here. And that is good. Like, hold on to that feeling, because that feeling is there for a reason, you know. So I'm gonna end the reading here. I hope this reading made some sense. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 5. You chose this Miss Cleo's tarot deck, and I'm going to start with some channeling, and then I'm going to shuffle the cards for you. So I'm going to do the channeling now. So Spirit, can you answer this question for group number 5, the people who will choose group number 5? I'm going to start with, what is group number 5's biggest weakness? So what is group number 5's biggest weakness? Okay. So I'm sensing that you don't always want to work with people, or that you are maybe not the most, you know, cooperative person when it comes to teamwork and stuff like that, that maybe you would like to, or maybe you just prefer to do things alone. And this can be a big weakness because, you know, people might feel like sometimes you come across as a little bit arrogant because you want to do things on your own, that it, you know, it sends out a signal that, you know, you don't really want their help, because somehow, or that's how they perceive it, is that they think you consider yourself to be superior, and so whatever they do to help you would always be inferior and would not be useful to you because you put yourself up on a pedestal. Or that, you know, this is really blunt, but this is just what I'm sensing. That sometimes people feel intimidated by you as well, because you seem so independent, and you seem like someone who, like, yeah, some people are a little bit scared of people who can do everything on their own and prefers to do it that way, because, you know, some people are very dependent on people, dependent on help, dependent on, you know, getting people's opinion about things. There are some people who wouldn't, you know, make a decision before they have asked all their friends about it, you know, and in that, like, I'm sensing that you're not like that. You have absolutely no problem making a decision, you know, without consulting anybody about it, you know. So I'm going to shuffle and see what the cards have to say about what is your biggest weakness. Okay, 6 of Cups and 8 of Staffs, 8 of Wands. Okay, so with the 6 of Cups, I'm getting that your weakness could also be that, you know, something from the past, something that caused you to be the way that you are today. Which is, like, there's nothing wrong with the way you are. Like, there's nothing wrong with being hyper independent. There's nothing wrong with, you know, wanting to handle things on your own and not necessarily needing anyone's help or opinion. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And but this, it seems like it could be something that there could be something causing you or to be that way, that maybe you had to grow up really fast when you were young, that you had to kind of take care of things that were maybe not age appropriate, that maybe it didn't make sense that you were put into these, you know, situations where you just had to just figure out a way to fix it or a way to do it by yourself because there was nobody around to ask. That this could also be because maybe you were kind of always doing your homework by yourself. You know, nobody was there. Maybe your parents didn't really want to help you with your homework when you were a child, and so you just found out a way to just do it yourself and rely on yourself for help, you know. So, yeah. With the Eight of Wands, you know, I'm sensing that you're somebody who likes things to happen a little bit fast. Or like sometimes you might, like if you are doing some teamwork with some people, or like if you have to work in a group in your education, if you're in an education right now, but also if you're working with some people, you might get a little bit impatient when things are not being done as quickly as you want them to be, like, or maybe you feel like you would be able to do it much faster if you were just doing it yourself. So I'm getting a little bit of impatience here. Impatience when it comes to other people. But it's not everyone. I feel like there are people where you're definitely very patient around those people, especially people close to you, you know, your friends, your family. I feel like you're rather patient when it comes to them, and like it's not like you're rushing them or something like that. But I feel like when it comes to, you know, your professional life, your career, you might feel like, you know, it can bother you when people waste time, because maybe you also just feel like, you know, the more time they waste, the longer you have to stay there, and the more time it takes away from your personal life. Like you have things that you want to do with the people around you, and so if things just, you know, keep piling up because some people can't get their finger out their ass, you know, that it's gonna, you know, you're gonna be the loser at the end of it. Like it's gonna be you who has to, you know, stay later or stay late figuring it all out. And, you know, yeah. I'm gonna shuffle a little bit more about what is your biggest weakness. Okay, I'm not going to read these, am I? Spirit, should I read these? No. Okay, I'm going to read these. Okay. Eight of Coins reversed. So I'm definitely sensing that some of your weaknesses is when it comes to your work life, you know, that I don't think you have many weaknesses when it comes to your personal life. I feel like that is quite figured out. I think you have a good, healthy relationship to the people around you, to your friends, your family. I feel like that's definitely something that really doesn't need or require any pointers or advice, because I feel like you have it all figured out. You might sometimes be a little bit trusting towards the people around you, where you believe a little bit blindly in some of the, like, especially people very close to you. Maybe you're easily tricked by the people very close to you, but not very easily tricked by people who are not in your inner circle. I feel like you're suspicious when it comes to, strangers, stranger danger, stuff like that. But when it comes to your family, your brother, sister, friends that you've had since you were a child, you don't really suspect that they are doing anything behind your back. And maybe that can sometimes put you in a position where you get taken advantage of, if that makes sense. Where some of the people around you might use you, like if they have something they need to have done, that they call you and you drop everything because you believe that it's an emergency, because they say it's an emergency, so you believe what they tell you or something like that. And so you might also, borrow them money if they sound like they're very desperate, and then you might regret doing it later when you realize what they spent the money on, or that maybe they weren't so, like, maybe it wasn't so urgent as it sounded like. But I feel like usually you are very good at being, aware of people a little bit, like people who aren't like immediately close to you, So, but I think that's also a good thing, to have natural trust in the people around you, because that is the foundation for good, healthy relationships, good, healthy friendships, is to have that blind trust. And so it's not a bad thing, it's only bad when people take advantage of it. And that's mostly their issue. Like, they are the ones who have, who have that darkness within them that causes them to take advantage of people who have only been good to them, but it's, yeah. So that can be, a little bit of a weakness in your personal life, that you trust people a little bit too much. But I feel like in your work life, you trust nobody. Like, I feel like you don't trust anyone with anything that you've done. Like, if there's a project and, you have to go on leave or something, or you have to, take a break, or that you're going on vacation or something, and someone else has to pick up your project and do it for you while you're on vacation, I think you would have a really hard time leaving your work to someone else, because you feel like they can't really do it in the way that you were, like in the way that fits your vision, that maybe sometimes you have very little expectations of other people, especially the people that you work with, or the people that you study with, or like, it doesn't seem like you have a lot of trust in them. So yeah. So with the Ace of Swords, Well, and the Ace of Swords and the Seven of Swords. I feel like you are a very smart person. These cards wouldn't come up if you weren't a smart person. And so that's probably also why you sometimes feel like, you know, you have experience with, you know, people fucking up the things that you started, or like if you have had like an assignment that you had to work in teams, like that you had to you know, do it with others, maybe an exam that you had where it was a group project exam, and you know, you didn't have the best experience because, you know, you might have fallen due to their incompetence. And this is maybe something that has happened a few times, where maybe you had a re-exam and then, you know, went there on your own without the rest of the group and actually aced the exam. So you knew that it wasn't because of you, that it was because of the others dragging you down. But this can also, you know, be a little bit of a weakness, because I think sometimes there are times where we have to be a little bit patient with people and, you know, a little bit happy-go-lucky, where it's like, oh, okay, if this doesn't work out, if they are going to drag me down, you know, then what? Like, what's going to happen? What's the worst that can happen? You know, maybe not taking everything so seriously, and, you know, accepting that sometimes you have to, you know, put your name on something that you're not proud of just because you have to show team spirit. And yeah. This is also giving me, you know, some other message here with the Seven of Swords, is that I feel like maybe you have experienced in the past that, you know, when you when you worked in teams, that you might have been taken advantage of. So this does seem to happen also sometimes when you, like in your professional life, in your work life, or study life. And I think it's like, maybe it's not that much, like I think you know that it's happening. Like, you know, when people are being lazy around you because, you know, they are expecting you to get frustrated with them, and then you end up doing all the work yourself, you know. And that maybe you feel like, okay, that is what they're trying to do, and maybe even though you know you're being taken advantage of, maybe this has been the best solution in the past, where you felt like, okay, I'm just going to do it all by myself, and I'm not even going to ask them, because, you know, this is just where it's going to go anyways. So I can just as well just start working now and then not expect anything from them. And this might, yeah, be your biggest weakness, because it first of all, it makes you a target of people taking advantage of you, and, you know, leaving all the work for you, because it seems like you're willing to do the work, or that it seems like that it's not, you're not protesting against it, so they see an opportunity to just you know, lay back and relax and not do anything. And so yeah, I feel like, you know, moving forward, I think, even though I think this is the easiest way to do it for you, I feel like most of you don't even care if you have to do all the work yourself. Because it means that you're not going to have to redo everything when everybody fucks up. So maybe it's just fine to sit with it all on your own, and then you know that it's going to be good. And then you know it's going to be up to your standard. But maybe you have to, you know, like moving forward, you have to expect some more from the people around you. You have to expect that they can actually also do something, or that they have some competence. You know, they're not all incompetent, you know. And even if they are, then what? Like you have to just let people fuck up, even if it's on your account, even if it's something that's going to reflect badly on you. But they have to have their share of the work, and you know, they are hired for a reason, and they're, you know, or if you're in an education right now, they also have to learn something. You can't just do everything for them and expect them to learn. And of course, it's not your duty to help them learn, but it's still, it might take away something from them, because they don't fail, and you know, from failing they learn a lot more. So you have to let them fail, so that they might be able to look inwards and see, okay, maybe there are some things that I need to work on, you know. Because if they're just super lazy and then they end up getting a really good grade because you took up all the work and all the weight, then, you know, that's just going to make them believe that, okay, I can just do nothing and then, you know, get a good grade, and it doesn't require anything from me. Like, then it just feeds the illusion in their mind, and it's not good for them. It's not good for you either, because it's going to overwork you and you're going to burn yourself out from, you know, picking up other people's picking up for other people, or, you know, yeah. So I'm going to move on to how to turn this into a strength. You know, how to turn your biggest weakness into a strength. King of Cups reversed. You know, nobody's an island. This person is an island here. Alone on an island, and it's reversed. So, you know, you have to, of course, maybe you're actually really good at teamwork, but maybe you haven't discovered that yet, because you haven't really given it a proper, you know, a proper go. That you haven't tried being the leader of a group, and maybe you actually fit really well into the leadership position, and maybe if you tried a little bit more to take up the lead in like a teamwork thing, like, you know, out delegate jobs to people, like tell people like, what, okay, I need you to do that, and you need to do that, and then we can all like meet up when we have all done our thing, like that. You know, maybe this is something that is an undiscovered talent of yours. So maybe, because you know, like, you have the vision, and you know what you want, and you know how to get it done. You just need to direct these people. And I know it's really hard, especially if you are dealing with some really lazy and incompetent people, but maybe, you know, the best leader is the one that can make even the laziest person, you know, do something, or like, you know, tip in with something and find out what is everybody's individual skill and how to use that and how to milk that for all it's worth. And I think you're much better in the leadership position than you think, and that's just something that I really want you to look into and maybe try it out. Just, yeah. So, you know, I feel like a lot of you have told yourself and told other people that you are terrible at teamwork and that you don't like teamwork and you don't want to work in teams, and every time there is a teamwork situation, you ask to do it alone. You ask specifically for, like, you know, special treatment so that you can get out of it and not, you know, be in that situation that you know is just gonna, you know, be a terrible, or you have a feeling that it's gonna be terrible for you to work in teams. But maybe turn it around and maybe see, I feel like that it's not a, I feel like it's a little bit of an illusion, because I think you're actually maybe one of the best people at working in teams. You're the most competent person to work in a team and to be a head of a team, you know? The head of a team, sorry. Not ahead of it, but you know, if that makes sense. So, okay. Three of Coins reversed. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't really the card I was expecting, because, you know, when the Three of Coins is upright, it's about teamwork. So with it being reversed, it's kind of like, you know, saying maybe it's actually a strength that you could, okay, so that makes sense too. It, you know, you have a strength in doing things on your own. Like, you are very independent, and, you know, remember that that is a big strength. And that can get you really far in life, that you are both able to do things on your own and you're able to work in a team very well. I believe so. I believe that you're still very good at working in a team if you just take the leadership position within the team. I don't think you would be very good in a team if you weren't the one, you know, the one in charge. Like, I'm just getting the feeling that, you know, I don't think you would be very happy in a team where someone is telling you what to do, especially if it's someone who's terribly incompetent and doesn't have any direction or any sense of direction, and just feels like just is fumbling in blindness and just, you know, leading everybody astray because they have absolutely no vision for what the project is going to be like when it's done. And so it, you know, so I feel like you wouldn't be happy if you were, you know, following someone who is blind, you know. But if you were the one in charge, I think you would be good. But the thing is that I feel like you're good at both. And remember that you are, you know, you already have an advantage over people, since you are someone who can figure everything out on your own. You don't have to ask people for help. This gives you I feel like it gives you a superpower in, you know, in not needing anyone to fix things for you, that you can fix it on your own. And yeah. So with the Two of Coins, I feel like you're someone who can juggle a lot of things at once. You're someone who I'm actually sensing that well, you could, I don't know if some of you have ADD or ADHD, but you know, even though like this is coming up as a strength, not necessarily as a weakness. So like maybe some of you have like a little bit of that you know, like I feel like your thoughts are very like are racing in your brain, and sometimes that can be, you know, draining. But I feel like you're also someone who has like a little bit of a scatterbrain, like you're scatterbrained in some way, and that this causes you to sometimes get some really great ideas. That it's just kind of it. I think you get some random ideas like out of the blue, and then you can just see the like that this can maybe be the, you know, the solution to like a project or something that you know. And I think you are a very creative person. You think very much outside the box, and I think this gives you an advantage. And some people might not be able to see the, you know, the options that you see, like, and yeah, I'm gonna shuffle a little bit more about how to turn your biggest weakness into a strength. Vampire. Vampire. Okay. It says makes you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. So how to turn it into a strength, how to turn I feel like, you know, I feel like you already know when people are, like, especially when people in your workplace or your education, when they are, you know, taking advantage of you. I think you know, but you just decide, you know, to ignore it just to keep kind of the peace, or because it, you know, I feel like sometimes you're a little bit of a people pleaser, you know, you don't really want to make a big fuss, and maybe you just want to play nice with others, especially because, you know, it's too much to have to, you know, be that person who points something out that people are going to be angry about, you know. I don't know, but I feel like if you how to turn it into a strength. I feel like if you can try to, like, you can turn it into a strength, the things that I talked about before, if you just maybe try to make people aware of, you know, like, and maybe telling people and putting up boundaries, telling people if you feel like, you know, they are, you know, taking advantage, or being just a little bit more upfront and a little bit more blunt, and not being such a pushover, and, you know, not letting people, you know, push you around and take advantage of you. That this could put you kind of in that leadership position and put you kind of in the respect of others by, claiming that respect by saying, you can't run around corners with me. I see right through what you're doing right now, and I don't really take kindly to that. It's just, yeah. And maybe, in your personal life, where sometimes you end up being taken advantage of, maybe without really knowing, or where you feel like, the person doing it, you feel like you know that person so well. So sometimes you end up maybe trusting a little bit too much in situations where you should be a little bit more skeptical. And this card, the Vampire card, could maybe just be saying that, maybe be a little bit more aware of the people around you, whether they have good intentions or not. And maybe also, like, if someone wants to borrow money from you, maybe be a little bit, hard ass towards them, and, tell them that you have to show, like, that they have to show you proof of what they actually spent the money on. Like, be that person, even though it's going to make you very unpopular and make you, like, possibly make you the enemy of that person. But maybe that is required because there might be somebody in your life right now who is taking a little bit advantage of you. Someone who is really good at getting your empathy. And even though, like, and you understand that this person needs you, and maybe you feel like you're the only one in this person's life who can take care of them, who can help them. And maybe you're enabling this person a little bit, because maybe they need to stand on their own 2 feet and figure it out. And, maybe they need to hit rock bottom, I don't know. Of course, like, I don't really know what I expected from this, the topic of this reading. I know it doesn't really make sense, like how to make your biggest weakness into a strength. It's a little bit too vague, and I'm not sure what else to tell you other than maybe some advice on how to deal with this weakness, like that. Maybe and maybe I'm going to do that. Like, what is the advice to deal with your biggest weakness? Love reversed. So it doesn't quite make any sense, but maybe offer some people some tough love. Maybe some of the people around you, I feel like there are some people who need a wake-up call. Someone needs to, tell that person. Like, I feel like it's maybe one of, like, either it's your boyfriend or girlfriend, or someone that you're dating, or a friend, or like a sibling of yours who might be actually, I know this is very specific, but I feel like this person might ask for money. And it's just that maybe they need to figure life out on their own, and maybe this money is not really helping them find, a permanent solution to their issues. that it's just maybe causing their issues to buckle up, bundle up, or yeah, bundle up or something. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end the reading here. I know it might not have been the most enlightening reading, but it is what it is. So yeah, have a great day and bye.